But did you get this? Did you get these files? I send it again in email for you.
No, I could not open them.
I mean, I send it them again in your email.
Yeah, couldn't open them.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't have the like authority to open them. You have to give them to me in Google Drive.
No, I wasn't send it in Google Drive. I send it to the email for you straightly.
No. No.
A few
Didn't
minutes
get them.
ago. 5 files, 15 minutes ago.
Nope. No email from then.
Yeah, well.
Oh, yeah, now I can see it. You put it in my Gmail.
Yeah, as I see it.
Okay, so I'll share these with the students.
Yeah, great, thanks.
And I'll start the recording.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, thanks, bye. Yeah, so are you finished in this 15 minutes as much as you get done? So when you're looking your character, you can put him or her in any kind of story. I mean that it's your imagination that you can do whatever you want. And I have some examples here that you could maybe easily, or maybe not so easily, to bend your character in this story. And just write it down what kind of first expressions you have when you think your character in this kind of story. Okay. So you take your character and put it in this example story. This is called Mystery Store. And there's a person who is thinking this way. I hadn't remembered seeing the general store on the street before. When I returned the next day with my sister, shop has gone. We asked an old-timer, that shop, that general store, he stated. It ain't been here around for 44 years. So there's one character. It could be this, your character, or it could be the sister, or it could be someone else who is in his town or city, and on the street he's seeing a general store that's a new one, something that he or she doesn't remember seeing before. So the character is interested about this general store, which is new for him or her, and when this character is returned the next day with his or her sister, shop is gone. It's kind of mystery. So they will ask an old-timer who will say, that shop, that general store, it ain't been around for 44 years. And this can be a mystery story, it can be a comedian story, it can be an animation, it could be a start for a game, or it could be whatever you want it. It could be a short story, it could be a novel, it could be motion picture, but it's kind of situation that will have all kind of possibilities and turns there. Okay. So put it in this storyline, general store mystery, and make some notes. What kind of ideas will grow there? And is it a short story or novel or movie or drama, play? I always, in the first place, try to see things in every character's eyes. So I always think in this kind of you, me or I, so that I can see in one character's eye and then I change to the other ones and I think how he or she is seeing things with I perspective. So that's why it was in, I hadn't remember seeing the general store. Okay. And let's go to the another one. So your same character and a different situation, different genre maybe. And I think that when you put your character in situation, you kind of are testing what kind of person he or she is. And this is how your character is reacting things. And the action is the character, and the character is the drama, which is happening there. So the second task are having these kind of things. My cat likes to bring home an odd assortment of creatures. My cat likes to bring home an odd assortment of creatures. Not that he kills them. I think they are his friends. One day, the cat brought home something I have never seen before in my life. And I disbelieve that I ever will again. So I read again. Task could be said tomorrow. My cat likes to bring home an assortment of creatures. Not that he kills them. I think they are his friends. Okay. One day, the cat brought home something I have never seen before in my life. And I disbelieve that I will ever will again. So you put your character in this kind of situation that his or her cat is bringing odd creatures, not kill them. And your character is thinking that they are maybe your cat's or his cat's, her cat's friends. But one day the cat brought home something very unusual, something that your character have never seen before. So take notes about this. It could be so that you have a vision, what is he seeing there, or something else. The last part was, one day the cat brought home something I have never seen before in my life. And I disbelieve that I ever will again. One day the cat brought home something I have never seen before in my life. And I disbelieve that I ever will again. Yeah. So all kind of expressions, ideas, imaginations you will have, please write them in the note. It could be a funny story. It could be a creepy story. It could be a horror story. It could be a very realistic thing. It just depends how you see these things. And this is the way of avoiding cliches and stereotypes. But you can also see, with the help of these archetypes, what could be happening there. Is the cat hero? Is the cat mentor? These kind of things will go there when you are just going back and back on your notes and developing your ideas. I mean that you really have to focus many hours and days about them. Sometimes people just think that, okay, this is boring. Yeah, it can be true, but you can always develop it, evolve stories, and see how far they can bend. So never surrender. Okay, then we go to the third one. This could be called the invitation from the past. The envelope that came in the mail looked really stylish, and I was hoping that it was an invitation to a party. The envelope that came in the mail looked really stylish, and I was hoping that it was an invitation to a party. And yeah, it was an invitation for a party. Dated June 1889. Envelope that came in the mail looked really stylish, and I was hoping that it was an invitation to a party. And it was an invitation for a party. Dated June 1889. And if we are thinking that we are living this time, 2021, yeah, there's a twist. So think your character there. And depending what kind of character there is, so the idea of the party could be very different. Is that a very old person? Or is this very young person? Is that somebody who is living in a ship? Or in a wood, forest, island, city, little town, in tent, wherever. Envelope that came in the mail. So when I'm thinking my character making, I always try to make this kind of situation that have some kind of twist, because my own imagination is more eager to have fun with interesting twists. Of course, this could be testing with storyline that don't have any kind of twist. But when I'm thinking that there is something which is unusual for the character, probably. I'm thinking that how he or she is reacting in this kind of unusual event. Because we have two kind of situations in the story for the character. The ones that are usual, and maybe he is acting very usual way, and we kind of learn in the story that this is the way how he or she reacts in usual way. But then there's unusual things, and it could be that he or she is reacting very unusual way. And when spectator audience is kind of learning the way how your character is behaving and what kind of personality he or she have, these unusual things will get our attention. Okay, usually he's not scared about things, but yeah, now we can see that he's in panic. Or this is the first time that I can see a warm, very friendly smile on her face. So I'm kind of thinking in an acting way, but as I said, my roots are in the theater, and I'm used to think about things how actors are doing characters and how I'm directing them. Okay, for the fourth by. This is called the absent photo. I love to look through our old family photos. One day, I noticed that a certain picture has been removed. I love to look through our old family photos. One day, I noticed that a certain picture had been removed. I asked the whole family, and no one seemed to have taken it. Was someone hiding something? Absent photo. Character is having fun all the time when he's looking through our their old family photos, and one day character noticed that a certain picture had been removed. Why? What kind of picture? And the character is asking the whole family about this event, but no one seemed to have taken it. So is there someone outside of the family or inside of the family hiding something? And how is your character reacting about this, and what kind of thoughts will raise? What kind of goals will he have, or she is trying to find out the truth? So this is kind of a situation that is easily to see what your character is thinking. And in drama, quite rare, but it's not so unrare, but anyway, quite rare, is that your character is saying loud his or her thoughts. Sometimes, yeah, voiceovers, maybe inner monologues. But mostly in drama, we see actions and reactions. So this is the one way of seeing and understanding how your character is probably thinking and feeling. And of course, in the script, you probably doesn't write anything about these. Just these actors characters acting there, how he reacts or acts. But you really have to understand your character's thinking, inner voices, monologues. So in the planning of character, I always write these kind of things out. it helps me understand more how he or she is understanding things, and probably what is his goals and what kind of feelings her have, what kind of mixed up emotions, because they are very interesting, kind of scary and kind of eager to find out what is happening there. And this is kind of a very usual things for people to do, or what kind of character they are, that they are looking through old family photos in family albums. And this is from my real life experience. My mother's side is from Hungary, and we were living in a very old and crampy looking old mansion, many hundred years old, and war wrecked in many places. So it wasn't very neat at all, but it was kind of a ghost house-like, and I like it. Anyway, there were photos missing sometimes. There was no mystery there, but when I was 6 years old, I find there all kind of mysteries there. But it was kind of interesting to see when there was missing places. And it's always the same nowadays. If people have family photos, they are right now in the digital ways, and they rarely print them. But anyway, families have their old family photo albums. Okay, and for the next one. This is called the trick caller. I thought the odd phone calls were just by some neighborhood kids. I thought the odd phone calls were just by some neighborhood kids. Until one caller asked me about something truly scary. Did somebody find where you covered the body? Trick caller. I thought the odd phone calls were just by some neighborhood kids. Until one caller asked me something truly scary. Did somebody find where you covered the body? Okay, it seems like a mystery. It seems like a scary thing. Something that involves wonders and motives. And one thing to understand your character is understand the motivation your character is having. And of course, secrets. What is the motivation of somebody saying this? Is your character this one who make this call? And if so, what is he or her motivation about that? Is your character scaring the other one? Or is your character the one who receives this phone call? Or is your character one who is now dead and only body left? Did somebody find where you covered the body? If the caller is a kid, teenager, very old voice, or is it something that is technically change the voice, so you can't say, is it a man or woman or young or old? So there is a story behind that, and the story is first behind in the backgrounds of the characters. So that's the reason of this story line, that you really have to, if you're digging deeper, you can find these back stories, maybe 2 or 3 persons, maybe more. And that's very interesting, what you will find. You can also see this environment, age. Is it a realistic world, or fantasy world, or near future world, a long distance science fiction feature story? Or is this a funny thing? It doesn't look like it, but it's made in a sitcom, maybe. It looks very serious, but maybe there's a joke. If you think about sitcom series, they can have these kind of stories. It could be a Halloween chapter. Odd phone calls, and one caller who said something, how the character finds truly scary. Okay. Sitten, then, the forbidden room. Tearing down a wall to our home, I revealed a small, narrow room between the walls for decades. Tearing down a wall to our home, I revealed a small, narrow room between the walls for decades. What was in gave me the shock of my life. What was in this revealed small, narrow room gave the shock of your character's life. Forbidden room, tearing down a wall to our home, I revealed a small, narrow room between the walls for decades. What was in gave me the shock of my life. And it doesn't have to be shocking for the audience. It can be shocking only for this character, because there's something which is shocking for him or her. For example, it could be your character's most important lost toy, which is a mystery why it is there, but it's also revealing your character's personality things. But of course, it could be something shocking for your character and also shocking for the audience. But I prefer things that are very intimate and personal for your character. And sometimes in old houses, these kind of things happens, that you reveal something new, especially in the basements. And this, of course, would be a turning point in some story. This can be a starting point in a story, but it also can be an ending point in a story. So it also can reveal something when you are using your imagination for making a plot and making an environment for your story, and also in which time this is happening, in which place. Is this southern part of Finland or southern part of Egypt, or is this something happening in Asia, Iceland, wherever? This also can be this forbidden room situation where you understand more about your characters' inner life with backstory. So it could be so that it's something to deal with memory, lost memories, something that you just want not to face, but of course in the story you have to face them. I always think that the things that are making your character most vulnerable, like Clarice in this Silence of Lambs, you have to face them. It doesn't mean that you have to have this cliché that when you face your fears, you learn something and you grow. Of course, it can happen, but it also can be so that it leads something new, something which is not acceptable for your person or maybe for the audience. It's something that is not satisfied for the character. I mean that it's logical. And the hardest thing making a character, I think, is finding the logic. Logic of the character, logic of the word. And then when you have this usual way of things happening in your story with your characters, you have to find out these odd, unaccepted turns, twists, and understand logically how they will react with these. So this kind of testing areas, testing situations helps me to understand more about my story and my characters. It can be so that I don't use anything about this situation in the actual drama, but they help me to understand more my character. Also, it's kind of funny to make up all kind of new twists. And for the first, all the characters are for every writer mystery, because you are just trying to understand them. I don't use a real life persons so that I just take one person and give a life in a fiction. There are probably quite many persons mixed up things there. And I'm not thinking straightly that, okay, this is my best friend and this was my enemy in the elementary school, or this is the mentor who gave me a sign of seeing things new way in a theater or something like that. But sometimes when the story is done and you can see it living their own life, sometimes you can see that there's something going with this, my old mentor. There is something that reminds me about her, but it's not the same person. There are some traits about her there. But of course, the real life is a great inspiration. But in the fiction, I like to think that I can do whatever I want. And I was first studying psychology in university and all other social sciences. And one thing I find it interesting was that I have all kind of cases about, for example, mental illness. And I was thinking sometimes more like in a fiction way, not that what is the real case of this patient. And there I found out that this is the one thing that I really like to do, fiction things. And of course, when you are studying the science, you really have to be with this logic with science, but the logic of the fiction is far more bending for me, and I'm interested about this experience that is having. Okay, so I guess that you have making notes about this forbidden room. So luckily you have made some notes about your character, and you have testing your character in different kind of stories, lines, and now when you are watching them, you can make more analyze about your character, and also you will have in a character gallery by accident that there are involved all kind of other characters mentioned or maybe interacting with your character. So you will have a story and you will have characters there. And when you understand what is the main goal of your main character and find out who is your main character, you will have elements for making a plot. Story is what is happening. King is dying. Yeah, that's a story. Plot is how the king is dying. King have been poisoned. Okay. So there is a plot. True thing is that the fact that he's dying, but how he is dying is getting inside of the story and having a plot. Somebody, or maybe a group of persons, are hoping that the king will die. So there will be a question why, and there will be a motivation about that. And there will be others who will react and act about this situation in many ways. So who is the main character? What is his or her story? Is there a growing identity story there, or is there something else? Is this a revenge story? Or is there mixed up all kind of stories? Just like in William Shakespeare's Prince Hamlet, the one who is a young man who can't decide what to do. That's why he's saying this famous line, to be or not to be, because he doesn't really know. In Search of His Soul, Prince Hamlet, we see all kind of shadows that are depending on his father. And in the beginning of the story, as in a play, and what we can see in the stage, is that Prince Hamlet has come back to the home, Denmark, Kronborg's castle, and the king, his father, is dead. And there's a new king there. That one is Hamlet's uncle. And the mother is remarried. Okay. And then there's a ghost. Interesting twist. Because Shakespeare is master of plots and master of characters. And there is always humor in these drama playing things. Anyway, it is a tragedy of this young man who can't decide what to do, live or die. And Ghost will say that I am your father. And you have a mission. And there's a revenge mission. And as you can see, it's quite same things that are happening in Star Wars saga. For example, for the Luke Skywalker, who is kind of prince too. And it continues with Kylo Ren and Rey and their story. And you really have to understand the motivation. And the motivation depends of characters' personality things. And I hope that these things that I today gave you and these files that Karita have sent for you, please look at them with thoughts and heart and make your characters believable and enjoy the progress. I think that this is one of the most interesting thing in the writing job is making these stories. Yeah, and if you can be detached your characters, I can mostly certainly say that the audience will love them too, because Shakespeare really loved his characters. This poor prince who just wants to die because he's too afraid to live. And there are very good logical reason why is he so afraid. So it's not a surprise that his father Ghost is coming from hell to say his son that you have your revenge. And that's a very scary thing. Okay. Thank you about this. I would like to hear that was it easy to make your characters and these situations and put your characters there?
I'm still working on it.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, but this was really helpful. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Sasha. I hope so. Remember that this is always playing, just like in childhood when you were in a sandpit. Yeah, that's the day that task to make these characters that you have made up in this situation and try to understand them in different perspectives and views. But yeah, just like in sandpit, that when you were thinking that, yeah, the sandpit could be a space station and this could be the characters like astronauts or cosmonauts or whatever in this sandpit, which is actually a space station or moon base or whatever you want. So it's the same thing with characters right now. You are just playing them, but you are truly for them. And you are eager to understand them because you love them. I mean that you can hate them, but with love there is always hate. And the hate is the thing that your moral thinks that this is not the right way to do, but for this character is logical, just like Dr. Lecter. So you can make these stories alive. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you about this. Hello.
One question, Harri.
Yeah.
Did you give a day task, and is it somewhere as a text that I could add in the Moodle for the students?
Yeah. Well, this task is to make this what we have now started, making this character and these environments and situations where they are, and searching more about this character and for the next time to expose them, what kind of characters they are. And you could be having drawings there if you like, but mostly just tell what kind of stories behind your character and what kind of character they are.
Okay, so will you send this as a text so I can add it into the Moodle?
Yeah.
Because like I said earlier, 1/3 of the students cannot attend this session.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I will write it down.
Okay, great. So I'll add it later into the Moodle where it says day task.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'll stop recording now.